Hello, hello, hello. No, I won't plug in. I'm just going to see if I'll just wait for some people to join. Let me see how to do this. Let me see if I can. Oh, yep. Invited. Let's see who else is on. Hello, hello. Hey Vicky, how you going? I'm just wondering to see if this is working. And how do I do this? Okay. Julia, are you on, my love? Hey, gorgeous. How you doing? Hey, 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 hey. Okie dokie. Now, why can't I add you? Why can't I add you? I can. Okay. What am I doing? Okay. No, they're invites. Have you got an invitation there, Julia, to come on? I've actually disengaged Messenger, so don't try and send me Messenger. I've actually had to turn it off because I've had to do my good morning, Georgia. I'm just trying to get Julia on. It's not letting me. Okay, I'm gonna might have to reset. I was so darn organized. I was super earlier. Just check to see if you've got an invitation there, honey bunny. Because I cannot seem to that the invitation's already gone. And I can't add you. Bugger. Oh, here we go. Aha. Here we go. Awesome. Add. We're rocking and rolling. Adding. Here she comes. It's not letting you join. Oh my goodness. I love technology. Don't you? Approve. Approve, approve, approve. Okay, guys, we're going to have to, it's just saying adding. Okay. We're going to have to end this one and just come back and we'll do this again. I apologize. Just stay tuned to our pages and here she is. Look at that. Hey. How are we?
It didn't like my computer. I'm good.
I can't show my phone. Yeah, I know.
Computer, so.
Well, you know what? It was just before I was getting on. I had the laptop sorted, and I went, you know what? I have a feeling you can't actually do it from a laptop. Add people. I remember somebody else saying it, so I was like, no, I'm just going to do it from my phone. So I've blocked all my calls. I've uninstalled Messenger. So ding. It was actually interrupting the live yesterday morning. So when I was on with Lisa, and I thought, oh no, I can't do that. So yeah. Hey Juliet, how you going? Hey Georgia. Just if anyone's jumping on, hi. Yeah. So Wednesday morning, you know what I'm going to ask everyone to do who's on? Just take 3 deep breaths. Yeah. So just breathe in. And just ground into the moment, you know, because if you've been running around all morning, you're probably up here. So let's just get into our bodies again. Because often I find, you know, if you're joining the live today, you know, it is a bit of your downtime too, just to stop. How does that feel? Does it feel a bit better? Everyone a bit more grounded?
Yeah.
Awesome. Everyone hear us okay? So thank you for joining, everybody. Hope you've got a cup of tea for our Wisdom Wednesdays. And I've got the beautiful Julia joining me today. And we have really come to the conclusion of our talk this morning, our conversation. Not a talk. It's not a it's just generally it's a conversation, and we're going to be talking about worthiness and what that looks like and how that shows up in our lives, because it does. It does. And I don't think you just do worthiness once. It's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. There's so many
For
layers
sure.
to worthiness. And I don't think, and I know this conversation will circle around to shame, because I really dug into that this morning as to shame is the driving force for worthiness, and or not being worthy, be worthy. And I think if we can stand on the outskirts of shame in the swamp. Brene Brown, I love her and I refer to her so much, and she speaks about the swamp, the shame swamp, and you can stand around the swamp, on the outskirts of the swamp, but unless you're willing to go into the swamp and through the swamp to come out the other side, you're just going to sink in the outskirts. So I was like, yeah, I get that. I get that. You can just circle it and circle it and circle it. So it's really brave and courageous to actually lean into it, just like to lean into that shame, that unworthiness, any darn emotion that's coming up that's not serving you, that you want to get really uncomfortable with, so you can break through it, and dissolve that, or look at it, and move through it. So what's your experience? Well, I mean, you've had this coming up of late, Julia.
Yeah, I had it within the last week. It was, I realized everything that I wanted to do and wanted to achieve, and I had my goal set out and planned, and then I knew that there was something holding me back, and something that I hadn't realized in regards to what it was. And then it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, that it was, how could I possibly do this if I don't 100% believe in myself and in the fact that I do deserve it? And without believing that, you can't achieve it.
Totally. So how's that sitting now? This is not, Julia mentioned this to me earlier in the week, and she goes, I'm going to have to do a lot of work before we get on here and do lives. And I went, you know what? I think often we get on here and we share our stuff when we've done it, like after it's perfect. You know what I mean? And I really think there's so much power in actually sharing it while you're in the swamp. Not the messy, vulnerable, like messy, like, I mean, people, like, it's not getting on here and, completely sharing your whole world with the world, because, you've got to earn trust. People have got to earn your trust to be able to share that part of you. I really believe that. So there is the difference of that. But I think just to generally have a conversation, while you're in the swamp, and because there'll be other people in the swamp right now too. And it's real, it's connection. That's when we connect, when we can actually talk about this stuff while we're there. So I said to Julia, do not think you need to get this shit sorted before we get on here and have a conversation about it. Let's just talk about it. So worthiness, and it does, it's definitely come up for me many, 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 many times. And I think last week was the same for me, that worthiness. Do I deserve this? Do I believe, like you said, do you believe you deserve it? And why don't we believe that we deserve it? Has anything surfaced for you as to why you feel like you don't deserve that?
I think it's part of the programming where I have to work hard to actually deserve something, rather than just letting it flow easy to me. And now, with me wanting to allow it to flow easy, I'm like, how is that going to work with my previous programming beliefs, the fact that I have to work hard to do something? And with the goal of $1 million in a year, it's like, how the hell do I do that without working hard for it? But it's really, for me, a different working hard than actually putting in 8 hours a day at a job, at doing something I don't love, or wasting time, where it's more about putting in the effort to work on myself, change those beliefs that I have of it not having to be hard, of allowing it to flow. And since I've admitted that to myself, I do feel more at ease and more deserving of it, because I have actually admitted it, and that's helped, I think, the process, and that's part of the steps.
Yeah, I so resonate with that. I think, you know, the whole believing that we have to work so darn hard to achieve anything, and, you know, and work 8 hours a day to achieve that is, you know, definitely been a process for me, and it's still a process for me, you know, of undoing that. I don't have to do that. And, you know, putting an hourly rate on it just really caps it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, my hourly rate needs to be this. It's like, you can't go from $45 an hour to $700 an hour, you know, like, you know, and work, you know, like, it doesn't work like that. It's not an hourly rate kind of thing. It's a friggin', it's an abundance. It doesn't come in an hourly rate. It comes in big chunks and little chunks and big chunks and flow and grace. And, you know, it's not a set hourly rate. You know, and I think, you know, as an employee myself, you know, everything, you know, all my life has really been based around an hourly rate kind of thing. So, like, to move past that, I have to, same, like, get rid of that belief. And I think the next thing that shows up then is, you know, so you got that deserving and worthiness, and you realize, you know, it's a realization that that's a condition. Awesome. So how does it feel when that condition is thrown back in your face? You know, how does that go? Well, Julia, you can't do that. That's crap. You can't make $1 million. You can't, you know, so what I'm saying is, it's like that, somebody, you know, like parents, you know, people who have, you know, been massive, part of that conditioning. It's no judgment against our parents whatsoever, but, you know, that's just the way it is, you know. When that gets thrown back in your face and they go, well, what do you mean you can't go and do that? Who do you think you are? So again, that squishes. So you sink again into that worthless, shameless pit swamp. Again, to sort of dive into, okay, well, what is that again? Yes, more conditioning, but you know, and these things come back to, you know, when you're told that you can't run that race. You're not a runner. You're not a sprinter. You're not a good reader. You're not a good writer. You're not a, you know, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. And this is like when you're little. This is like tiny. When we're just like tiny. And, you know, and bit by bit, you know, and this plays out in our lives over and over and again. And Brene talks about, you know, it's like that self-talk that we have, and we go, oh, yeah. And she refers to it, and I was listening to it this morning, so I'm just going to copy her because it's easy. But she refers to, you know, when you go out and you get pissed and you have a, you know, one of those nights, and you wake up the next morning, you've got to face the shame. You know, you do the shame walk because you've had one of those nights, and all of us have had one. Like, let's be real, we've all had one. You know, I've had more than one. I've had plenty. And but it's that self-talk of like, I'm shit. I'm horrible. I'm a horrible person. You know, I'm just bloody, I'm so bad. I'm such a bad person for doing that. I'm so bad for saying that. I'm so bad for doing that. Opposed to, gee, that was a bad decision. Gee, I could have made a better choice. So instead of having it, so there's two sides of it. So one is like, I am, that statement, I am bad, compared to I have that was bad behavior.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, if you imagine, like, you know, all those years of that, I am bad, I can't do this, I'm not worthy of that, you know. It takes, you know, there's years of conditioning. It's not just one thing.
Yeah.
Does that feel right for you too?
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. Can you?
It's the same. It's like saying I am fat, not I have fat. It's so ingrained in you that you aren't seeing it as the reality that it is, that everything that you've told yourself and that you believe becomes your new reality.
Totally. And I think even when you attach even the positive, I am skinny, you know, like when you look at, you know, our body is just a vessel. to our soul. So what is that? You know, like, so we get all this worthiness for the fact that we're skinny. And that, like, I've massively been what's it called? Dancing with this. You know, dancing with this that worthiness around being not good enough because I've got weight, you know, I've got weight on. You know, and I know my weight has so shown up for me to deal with a lot of this worthiness shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I need to feel really, it doesn't matter what this body is outside, it's what's going on inside.
Yeah, definitely. The inside determines the outside.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But even if you're you know, like, doesn't matter what I'm trying to say is like that internally, if you are okay, I am you've got a different I can't explain it, like, if you've got a different I am statement when it's not subject on the material stuff, because I still feel like our body is still a material aspect of ourselves. It's not a I can't quite get this across, but I might have to circle on that one and come back. But I love that. I love that statement around I have fat, and then I am fat. You know, that's just so true, so true, so true. So if I come back to being worthy and was it worthy and
Deserving and
deserving?
shame.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel that they're all the same, or?
I don't know. I suppose so. I haven't thought about it like that.
No, look, and it's just a conversation. I just feel like they all sort of blend and they're sort of all whoosh into. I mean, yeah, that worthiness is, I think, powered by the shame.
Yeah.
Shame is massive. Shame is massive, and I totally recommend anyone who's ever dealt with shame, because we all do. Doesn't, you know? And shame is a massive role play in perfectionism. And often, like, if we go into being worthy of $1 million, it's like having to perfect that perfectly.
Yeah.
To make that $1 million, you know, like it's the perfection, you know, behind that that's sort of driving that. Because what if I mess up? What if I make a mistake while I'm trying to make my $1 million? You know, what's that going to look like? You know, so then we have this ridden of shame because everyone's going to judge us because we've messed up, you know. So
anyway.
Hey,
they judge us anyway.
Absolutely. Oh, look,
what difference does it make?
No, it doesn't. But I think the realness is that it does hit us sometimes.
It does,
judgment,
for sure.
You know, and that's, you know, and well, it does for me. It will sort of hit me, and I go, oh, prickly. What's that? Dive in, do a bit more digging, find out what's going. You know, why is it hit me?
Sorry.
I love
it. There might be a turkey around somewhere as well.
Good morning. Chook chook. Yeah, so Brene Brown, she's an amazing author, and she does a lot of TED Talks, and she really dives into shame, worthiness, braving. Her book is Daring Greatly, so it's braving, so it's like jumping into the arena, you know, and this is it. This is our arena right now, you know, it is social media. So, you know, she talks about that. She talks about brave enough and worthy enough for our stories to be told and seen, you know. Hey, Colton. Hi.
Say hi. Yeah, look.
Hi. Hey. Hey, cutie. God, he looks like Simon.
Have you got money? You're rich,
Awesome.
aren't you?
Ah, ready for the million. Go and put in the $1 million jar.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to add to what's come up for you in regards to worthiness?
No more here. No more here.
No more.
Oh, there's more.
Oh.
Yay.
It's I don't know, it's something that I need to work through. And I think when I started some of the training, they talked about, I don't know where I've heard it, but they talked about you start out like paper, and then you change to wood, and then you change to stone, and then you change to something else, and you just go through the stages of how hard you become and nothing can crack you. And I think I'm just no longer paper, for sure. I've definitely gone past the paper stage. Can't be burned, can't be broken, can't be... But I'm probably between the wood and the stone. The wood and the stone stage.
Like coconut.
And, you know, people that say things can still affect me, and then I lose some of my worthiness and question myself and wondering how I'm going to do it and whether it's all possible for me, but I know that it is. And then
I think
re-question myself.
What was that?
And then I re-question myself and dig a bit deeper, and then re-question again and dig a bit deeper, and
you know what? I think
evolve.
that's and I think that's it. I think that's absolutely it. I think, you know, we can ignore it and make it bad, or we can just lean into it, get support, talk about it. You know, shame cannot survive. And if we talk about shame on the back of worthiness, shame cannot survive in the light. It has to be spoken. No. As soon as it's spoken, just like you said, as soon as you admitted where you were, it dissolves.
Yeah.
Like it's half the battle is actually just expressing the truth in it, isn't it? Like the truth. I feel, hey Tanya, I feel really vulnerable, and I really feel like the worthiness is driving the bus right now. You know, just by admitting that, there's no power. It's just, it dissolves. It dissolves. And I think, like you said, you know, you just got to keep digging into it, keep diving into it, keep looking at it, keep dissolving it, and you know, getting that support when you need to. And don't be afraid, you know, not being afraid of it.
Definitely. And there's so many people out there to support you, and the more we talk about it, the more you lose it, and yet the more common it becomes to talk about things that you may have issues with. You know, like the Are You Okay Day last week. It becomes normal to talk about these things, and the more normal it becomes, the less there'll be of it, because there's you know, there's people out there to support everybody, and
absolutely. And if we talk about that vibration, isn't it? It's like, so every time we talk about it, we dissolve it in a vibration, our energy increases. If we don't talk about it, we put another story on top of it, another story on top of it, and we push it down, push it down, and we become heavy, sludgy messes.
As soon as you talk about it, you're free.
It frees you. It frees you. Shame does not survive in the dark. You know, shine the light on it, get it out, and move it on. So I think we might just try and wrap this up, because I'm conscious of people's time. Any last minute ending words you'd like to add to our Wisdom Wednesday?
I don't know. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, does anyone have any questions? Good one. We've got Simon on and Tanya. What about you, Tanya? Have you got any questions that you'd like to have a chat about? Well, we might wrap it up. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's jumped on and anyone who's watching the replay. I think what I want to say is that you're not alone. No one's alone. No one's ever alone. Everyone's, you know, you're not alone if you're dealing with any sort of worthiness issues, shame issues. You're so not alone. And find a community, find a group, find business. You know, we're lucky. Julia and I are in an online business that really supports all of this in the personal development around it. You know, like truly. And I read something the other day. It's like, oh my God, we get paid to do personal development. And I went, oh my God, don't we? How often is that? You know, I'm still getting support elsewhere, but still I'm not paying for it. Like,
No.
you know, I'm actually getting paid to do my personal development now. So that's pretty darn awesome. So, yeah, find the support, you know, find community, find group, find like-minded souls and that are in your arena and love them dearly, love them, pull them close and, yeah. So beautiful, Julia. Thank you so much for joining. It's been such a pleasure. I can't wait for next week. I don't know who we got next week. I haven't decided yet. Yep, and we'll yeah, this is going to be a weekly event. So if anyone wants to be part of it, just private message me and we'll lock in a date.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. See you all later. Bye.
Bye.